Hey, it's Andrew Greif of the Oregonian on the Oregon Ducks beat here on Sunday outside the Hatfield-Dowling Complex in Eugene, preparing for Thursday's October 2nd game against Arizona. Both the Ducks and the Wildcats are 4-0. Obviously, the Wildcats beat Oregon last year 42-16 in Tucson, and that kicks off today's quick hits from practice about things you should know, because head coach Mark Helfrich today was asked about the revenge factor and whether Oregon uses that loss at all in its preparations this week. He said that it's impossible to feel real good about it when you turn on that film of the loss. It was a very brutal day. They couldn't run the ball. Marcus Mariota was intercepted for the first time all season last year. He said they don't use it, but that if it gives a guy somewhat of an edge going into this game, they'll definitely take wherever motivation they can find it. It's just not something they necessarily beat over the head for these guys. Also, this year, one of the big question marks has been offensive line. I asked Mark Helfrich today about who would play left tackle going forward, whether Tyrell Crosby, the true freshman, is that guy, is that long-term answer, or whether they're going to keep shifting him around the line. And remember, he played right tackle to start the year. And Helfrich said they're going to move these guys around a little bit, but wouldn't really go into specifics about whether Tyrell is, in fact, that long-term answer at left tackle. I guess we'll have to see going forward. Staying on the offensive line, I asked Cameron Hunt about what it's like to switch positions even in a game. He plays right tackle and right guard, and the difficulties of that are something that seem interesting to me. He said it is difficult sometimes to prepare for both roles because you're doing two things at once, and sometimes he'll even play two positions on the same series. He said if he had his preference, he would play guard. It just comes a little more naturally to him. On Marcus Mariota, last week against Washington State, they like to get him on the move, to move around from that pressure. Washington State had 7 sacks, so to get away from that, they would roll him out by design. I've been asking players all week, is he a good passer on the run? What's he like to play when he runs out, whether by design or because of a broken play? And everybody, to a man, says that he's as good as a passer when running to his right, which is his throwing hand, as he is when he's in the pocket. Helfrich said today they like the idea of Marcus throwing if he's even falling out of a plane, which was supposed to be a joke, but kind of goes that so far to say that they have complete confidence in Marcus no matter when he's running, whether he's dropped back and fully has that weight on his back foot. Of course, Marcus, Helfrich said, has been playing this way since high school, when he would roll out kind of a gliding motion almost by default. So this thing comes naturally to him, and it could help against Arizona, who will no doubt try to pressure him on every play, just like Washington State did. And finally, I was asking Matt Lubick, receivers coach, about Keenan Lowe and what he brings to this receiving unit that's so young still, even though they have some pretty good receivers in Devin Allen, Dwayne Stanford, along with Keenan Lowe, the senior. And he said Lowe is the most mentally tough person he's ever been around. That's pretty high praise from a coach who's been around the block about 20 years or so. He said that whatever he does, he's made this receiving unit better despite its youthful age, and that last year, as Lubick put it, when Oregon's receivers had kind of mental breakdowns against Arizona and didn't respond well to the adversity, he does not expect that this year at all. He says this year's receiving unit is a more mentally tough group, and that's something that's notable considering Oregon does have pretty much only a few seniors, a few upperclassmen among those receivers. That's all from Hatfield-Dowling Complex on Sunday afternoon.